Hello, everyone in social media land. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ralph Peterson radio show. I am your host, the lovable, the affordable. Well, it's a free show at this point, so it's extremely affordable. I am Ralph Peterson, and we have put together another big show for you today. It is super jam-packed. It is so exciting. There is big news still going on all over the world. I don't know if you know this, but there's still an election going on. I heard recently the comparison that American Idol is able to collect 8 or 9 million votes in about 5 minutes, and our election officials can't count votes, for months. I'm like, well, maybe American Idol has been lying to us. I don't know. I like the idea that the whole time they're asking for phone calls and text messages, and you can just call in your vote and we'll tally them right away. And it reminds me of this comedian show where they were trying to pick the best comedian, and all these other comedians were voting, and then one comedian won, and all the people on the panel who were supposed to vote looked at each other like, I didn't vote for that person. The other one's like, I didn't vote for that person. Finds out that what they were voting for didn't matter because the producers had already decided who was going to win the comedy show. It's kind of what it feels like with American Idol. Like, it doesn't matter. Just that's how they count 15 million votes in 5 minutes. Anyway, so the election is still going on. There seems to be a vaccine coming right around the corner. That just keeps getting played out to death. And I don't know if you know this, but the big news around the corner is Pepsi. There's two great stories about Pepsi. Number one is Pepsi has a whole new line of flavors coming out, which I just simply, why are we having more flavors of Pepsi? It just seems funny to me. But they are Pepsi Lime, which sounds like a Mountain Dew to me, and Pepsi Mango. And I'm not going to lie, I don't drink soda, but I'm going to try a Pepsi Mango. It just sounds interesting enough to get my attention. A Pepsi Mango. Why not? The big news with Pepsi, however, is I just love this. Pepsi has decided that they are going to put on a Super Bowl halftime show, quote, with or without a Super Bowl. That's right. Whether there's a game or there isn't a game, whether there's an audience live or there isn't an audience live, Pepsi is going all in. They've already hired the artists. They've already put in the order for fireworks. They've already got everybody lined up, and they are having a Super Bowl halftime show with or without. I don't know who makes that statement, but I just love the idea that they're in some kind of a pitch meeting, some kind of a room, and they're saying, well, what if? And, you've got, if you're going to secure your artists for the show, if you're going to secure fireworks and a venue and you think about the logistics behind putting on a halftime show for a Super Bowl. I mean, at some point you got to go, either we're going for it or we're not going for it, but we can't be half in because it'll be costly because you can't pull at the last minute. I just love it. I just love that they're like, you know what? Screw it. They're going live with or without a game. We're having Jay-Z will be playing, whether it's football before or not. That's how that's going to go with the NFL. It's so fun. And the stunning news, and let me preface this by saying this is clearly why I'm in operations and management, because, in business, because I know nothing about what people actually do behind their own closed doors during a pandemic, because I would have guessed something completely different. But the stunning news that I came across this week is the baby products industry is being hit terribly hard. I did not suspect this kind of business news to be coming across my desk. People or companies that focus their attention on making baby products is in for a world of hurt, because as it turns out, people are not treating the pandemic like they treat winters. That means people in the winter have babies generally in June and July because of what, they had nothing to do in the winter. That is not happening during the pandemic. In fact, it's quite the opposite. where there's a new survey out. There's a new survey out from Brookings Institute and the Wall Street Journal. And they report that they are expecting, listen to this number, 300 to 500,000, 3 to 500,000 fewer births in the U.S. in 2021 than if the pandemic, meaning if the pandemic did not hit in 2020, we would have had another 500,000 births. But because of the pandemic, the U.S. is going to have 500,000, between 3 and 500,000 less births than if there was no pandemic. That is crazy. That goes against everything that I thought I knew about my fellow neighbors. I must tell you, it's all right, we are going to get back to the baby products because we are here talking all about customer expectations and how you know what people are asking for and what they're wanting and how do you know and how do you ask and how do you research and the whole point of getting all that information beforehand. But before we get too far into this, let me first tell you that we are brought to you by the IBGR Radio, the International Business Growth Radio. So we should always just start there and thank everyone at IBGR for allowing us this spot on the IBGR network. We are loving doing this program every week. We look forward to it every week. We can't wait to be here every week. And so thank you to everybody at IBGR. And in fact, IBGR has such great programming that I am convinced if you just go to ibgr.network, you should go right in the middle. There's a tab that says community, and you can click on, you can go a community of commerce, sign up, become part of the community with us. This is the only radio station that you are ever going to need to listen to, especially when it comes to business. Not only business, but a lot of us are hilarious, as you can already tell. And so it's a really great show. It'll keep you entertained and it'll keep you informed day in and day out. IBGR.network. Also, if you are interested in being part of today's show, and I would love to have you interact with me as long as you're not too interacty, you know what I mean? There is, if you go to ibgr.network, they have a flashing yellow question mark at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you click on that icon, you can interact with me or any of the IBGR hosts when they are on. Also, we are live right now on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and so you can chime in right there. We're live at a few different platforms. Say hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Also, if you want to follow, not just me, but follow IBGR, IBGR has a bunch of social media channels as well, and they are always streaming various shows. So be sure to pick your favorite social media channel, look for IBGR, and follow them as well. You will not be disappointed. I guarantee it. So on with today's premise. The whole idea of today's show is to talk about customer expectations, what to ask, what to look for, why to look for them. And you know what? Every time I think about this, every time I'm looking at business and I'm looking at what people are struggling with, and I'm looking at, especially when it comes to customers. Customers are so interesting. Have you ever heard the adage that the customer is always right? Let me say something. I'm going to be as plain and as simple as possible for everybody out there who doesn't have the ability to do it. I'll do it for you. The customer is not always right. We sometimes give in to the customer's their unruly unruly request or their tomfoolery, for lack of a better term. But that does not mean that they're right. It just simply means that we have to gauge our bets. We have to go, listen, is it better to give in a little bit so we don't lose a lot on the other end? And that really has always been the turn of phrase. Was so interesting. The turn of phrase, the customer is always right, was actually coined. We don't know specifically who it was coined by, but it's rumored to have been coined between these three men who had started these various supermarkets or various clothing chain stores, like a Marshall's, a Walmart, like that kind of a store. And they were getting together and they were discussing what had made them successful over the years. And one of the predominant things that they were saying is that the customer is always right. However, they weren't saying the customer is always right. They were saying you always make the customer believe that the customer is always right. And so just focusing on that, I was like, why would you want customers to think that they're right if they are not right? And the answer is simple, because customers can be quite chatty when they're unhappy. A customer who is unhappy is more than like 8 or 9 times more likely to tell a friend, a coworker, a family member how bad the interaction was that they had at the store, at the restaurant, at the gas station, than if they had a good experience. We've become so accustomed to expecting good customer service that when we get excellent customer service, it's very challenging to get excellent customer service and get noticed for it, because our expectations as customers has grown so accustomed to being pampered and given into with every whim and desire that we have. I remember, I gotta say that there's only been one time, there was twice I've done it, where I've given 100% tip. And I'm not talking a lot of money. I had a $17 bill. I gave a $17 tip like that. I'm on a free radio program. Listen, I don't have hundreds of dollars to give for tipping, but 100% tip, I think I only did it twice. And the second time I did it because I was trying to show off. And you know what it got me, right? Zero bang for my buck. So it was definitely not worth it. The first time I did it, though, was completely organic, and it was a last-minute thing, and I would have never in a million years dreamed of giving somebody 100% tip. However, I was in a stressful situation. I go to a restaurant. This woman takes super good care of me, this older lady, and she kept giving me French fries, like bottomless fries. What I didn't know at the time was it's the store policy that you don't run out of French fries. So it's policy to keep giving you French fries. I didn't know that. And so I thought she was the greatest waitress ever. And so I gave her 100% tip. We're going to be talking about all my other mistakes and more on the Ralph Peterson Radio Show when we get back right after a quick little small tiny break. I looked up and realized I was out of time. Holy hell, 12 minutes flies by. Flies by. Okay, everything seems to be working fine. Everything's working good. Everyone's still here. Good. Hello, everyone on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you be. For those who are wondering what it is I'm doing, I'm just scrolling the news as I'm just seeing if there's anything else that catches my eyeball. Going back at 217.30. All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ralph Peterson Radio Show. I am still your host, the lovable Ralph Peterson, and we are so happy to have you here on the IBGR.network, the place for all entrepreneurs. This is a radio show that is brought to you by business owners, and it is for business owners. So please, if you want more content, if you're looking for more ways to grow your business, IBGR has got this great lineup where we choose a different day every week to talk about a different subject. We talk one day, we're talking about finances. The next day, we're talking about operations, which is Tuesdays, by the way, at 1:00 is your favorite hour. We talk about marketing, sales, managing people, the whole 9 yards. Everything is so super exciting here at IBGR. So go to IBGR.network, become part of our community. You will not regret it. I guarantee it. By the way, going back to the big topic at the top of the hour when we were talking about the baby lack thereof of people who are going to be having babies in 2021, you know what I was thinking is, what did I do all summer? Like, I've been locked down just like everybody else, but you know what I did? I wrote a book. I spent all my time writing a book. Other people apparently spent their time writing books. Apparently everyone was going to the beach and doing other things, not doing what I would have assumed would have been par for the course for everyone else. That being said, if you are interested in a fantastic book, please consider going to buy the thegoodmanager.com or thegoodmanagerbook.com, which is the website you can find the new book, The Good Manager. Being great is overrated, and you know it is. I just put it down in a book. As you know, we focus on systems, oversight, and outcomes here, and this week is no different. This week, we want to talk about customer expectations, how you listen to you ever think about this? Like, how do you listen to customers that you don't have anymore, your past customers? How do you listen to customers that you don't even have yet, like your future customers? How do you determine when your products or services need to be changed? How do you ongoingly build a relationship with your customers? How do you know if your customers are satisfied, like what their satisfaction level is? How do you enable your customers to get information from your organization? How do you and we could even continue to drill down and say, how do you manage customer complaints? How do you help solve them? And then all of this together, we want to say, how do you know it works? That's the big question. And so this story about babies not being born in 2021 and baby product makers are now having to face this reality that they've got to make a shift. They've got to make a change. And you could see that everywhere. I think for those of us who are in business and constantly are trying to read the tea leaves, which is a common idiom, read the tea leaves and try to figure out where the next best direction is for our own products, our own services, our own business lines. I think it's really interesting that they are able to predict with some sort of accuracy that there is going to be a reduction by 300,000 to 500,000 babies being born in 2021, which I recognize as I say it, it's as easy as doing a report on people who are pregnant today are obviously going to have babies in 2021. But that notwithstanding, having the foresight to go, okay, what is our projected customer base look like next year? Let me ask you that. What is your customer? What does your projected customer base look like next year, you yourself? I got to tell you, for me, my business, I have been working on a program to kind of cannibalize myself. And in that, I mean, how do I offer the same services that I offer now without me being directly involved? That's an interesting question. It reminds me of the Crest toothpaste dilemma. Crest toothpaste, the next time you're at a grocery store or in a CVS or any kind of store that sells toothpaste, go to the toothpaste aisle and count how many Crest toothpastes there are. They have, I think the last count, they had like 35 different flavors or different varieties, not flavors, varieties of the same Crest toothpaste. So it's Crest toothpaste mint, Crest toothpaste whitening, Crest toothpaste tartar control. It's for kids. It's with sparklies, extra clean, deep clean, overnight clean. They literally just learned how to cannibalize themselves. And when you look at something like that, when you're looking at your own products and your own services and trying to figure out what to do next, the logical question has to be, what are your customers looking for? What are they after? What do they want? And so if you're in the baby product section, if that's what you do, you make baby products, you got to do two things. Number one, you got to do 100 things, but number one thing you got to do is find out what your current customers want. Think about that. Like, what do your current customers want? My son just had a baby, and so we're super excited. Little baby Ezra, so I'm a grandpa, which I think is what I want to be called. I don't want to be called no me, ma, what, I don't. Whoever leaves a 1-year-old up to naming the grandparent for the rest of whatever, I don't understand it. I like grandpa. I'm going to stick with grandpa. I'm calling it here. It's on the radio. That's it. I made the decision. I'm not answering to anything other than grandpa. And I know he won't be able to say grandpa for a few years. I'll wait. I will wait. But so he just had a baby, and the baby's only a couple months old, but I think like 4 weeks in, he discovers a towel with a hood. So it's a baby's towel with a hood. And he's like, where have these been my whole life? Because that product has literally transformed how they take the baby out of the bathtub, how they bathe the baby, how they wrap up the baby. This baby blanket or towel with a hood just adds a whole new element of almost luxury to both the parent and the child. And so it's that kind of innovation that innovation only comes. I would have never thought of the need of having a baby blanket or a baby towel with a hood on it had Kyle not had a baby. And Kyle would have never thought of it until he had a baby. And so it's important, if you're in the baby product making business, to reach out to your customers and find out what they are how they are receiving your products. Many of us, I know I certainly have a couple of times with some food where I've had food come back. Like, you buy a box of food and there's something not right with the box of food, and you look on the box, and sure enough, in the bottom of that box, it says, if you have any questions or if you have any complaints, all you have to do is call this 800 number, and you can talk to somebody right away and they'll solve your problem. That is a really fantastic, how do you manage complaints and issues? Well, you can start by putting a phone number on the box, on the product, making yourself available to your customers. But that is all reactive. I want to talk about, how do you proactively listen to your customers? How do you proactively find out what your customer expectations are? I think that is where the gold is. The gold is finding out what your customers want before they start complaining about it. Could you imagine and it maybe even happened this way, because I have no idea how the baby towel with a hood came. I don't know who came up with it. I don't know how they come up with it. But somebody had to go, what would be great is if we had this and this. So the blanket or the towel and the hood. And so somebody put those two together. And before you know it, some baby product making company started manufacturing them. But it's got to be that you've got to have, as a business owner, you have to have your ear to the ground. You have to be able to find out what your customers want, what your customers need, what they like and what they don't like. I know a lot of people do not like to put out customer satisfaction surveys, because customer satisfaction surveys are usually filled out by unhappy customers. If I'm happy with the product or the service, it happens to me all the time. I go to the post office and they say, there's a survey at the bottom. If you wouldn't mind taking it out, it'd be really help me out. And I leave there and I always think, I have got nothing to add. I thought they were great. And I think it seems so redundant or a waste of my time to go log on to a survey, go click on something only to say I liked it, I didn't like it. Let me say this. I saw a 3-button sign in a restroom, and the 3 button said that they were happy, you were unhappy, or you had no opinion. And that is what the you as you walked out of the bathroom, you had 3 buttons to push. You're either the bathroom was clean, it wasn't clean, you were happy, you were not happy, or you had no opinion. But it was super easy for you to take this 2-second survey walking out of the bathroom because you just touched it. Touch, which of course during the pandemic today, who's touching that? I don't know. But before the pandemic, I always voted. And I think companies would do well if they had something like that, because it would capture the level. But what it would not do, of course, is it would not help you drill down. Could you imagine if you had a little, were you happy or not happy at the end of the store, on your way out of the door to a store, and you didn't have any way of determining, or we had 15 people vote, 10 of them were unhappy, but you have no idea what they were unhappy about. That would not be helpful at all. So it's one of those things where you want to figure out a way to get or determine your customer's level of satisfaction without making it super hard on the customer, because nobody is going to go out of their way to give you positive feedback. I will move heaven and earth to give you negative feedback, but not positive feedback. When we get back, I'm going to talk to you about a story you are not going to believe, and it's all about a word that is no longer politically correct in advertising, and the word is happy. Happy. All right, so the gardeners who are supposed to be here on Friday are apparently here on Tuesday. So that's my life. I would go out there and yell at them, but they all speak Spanish, and they would just look at me with like I have 2 heads. They wouldn't know what the hell I was saying, and I wouldn't know what the hell they're saying. Seriously? You had to come now? Unbelievable. Can you hear the gardeners, India? Did you hear it online? I imagine the answer is yes, but I don't know. I can't believe it. Bill, the program director, is asking how happy can be taboo. How is happy a taboo product for advertisers? I will tell you, I have it right here. I will tell you. Yes. Happy. How dare you be happy? How dare you be happy indeed? Oh, you can't hear them. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, they're gone now, but they were here, the jerkies. 132. Okay, so 3230. Okay. I got a dog barking in the background. I've got gardeners outside. It's crazy. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ralph Peterson Radio Show, your place for everything business and, dare I say, entertainment. That's right, I said it. We are live on ibgr.network, and we are also live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you would like to see what it is I look like. Oh, I got my glasses on. You don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. And you can go to ralphpeterson.com. All the way to the bottom left-hand corner is where all my social media channels are listed. We should probably put them on the top of the page as well, Miss India, if you're listening. That would be helpful for people so they didn't have to scroll all the way through the nonsense. However, by the way, I was on my own site earlier today, and I was going through my blog post because I was trying to find an article I wrote a while ago called How Rush Limbaugh Saved My Life. Very poignant article. And for those who are Rush Limbaugh fans here, they are looking for stories of impact stories about Rush Limbaugh and if Rush Limbaugh has impacted you at all. And he certainly has had a huge impact on me. I wrote an article about him a few years ago, and that's what I was trying to find. But as I was going through and reading all this, looking at the titles of my blogs, oh, what a joy. What a joy. I'm telling you, if you want some fantastic reading, quick reading, fun reading, go to ralphpeterson.com, click on the blog tab, and I guarantee you are going to have a great, great time. In addition, you can find all my social media channels there, and you will be able to see me and follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere. Everywhere I am is where you need to be. IBGR also has its own social media channels, and you can follow them as well. Go to ibgr.network if you want to be part of our community. By the way, I don't know if I say this enough, but IBGR is the #1 place to listen and learn all about business growth and development by business owners for business owners. We are a business talk radio program that is for people who own businesses, by people who own businesses. We're broadcasting in more than like 160 countries right now. We're growing like crazy. And everything that we talk about on this show is the same stuff I'm talking about in my business life and my personal life. We're constantly trying to figure out how to get better, how to overcome adversity, how to get people to buy our services and our products. And this is a show for you if you are in the same boat as me. Now, I left the last hour. We were talking about customer expectations and how you find out what your customer expectations are, what the point, why you should be looking and trying to figure out what their expectations are, their level of satisfaction. Years ago, I used to do I used to do a lot of hiring, an awful lot of hiring. And when you do a lot of hiring, there is this, when you're trying to write a job advertisement, you want to sell the job, as in, this is going to be the best job ever. I mean, that's the whole point of an advertisement. I have put out advertisements that said, needed housekeepers ASAP. You know how many calls I got for that job, right? 0. Because nobody is like, oh, that's the lamest, dumbest. A, it doesn't seem like a glorious job. B, they didn't put any effort into the advertisement. Actually, the best job placement advertisement are the job advertisements that make you feel good about the job. That's what I would say. Well, there is, you can't make this stuff up. There is a story out of England, a hair salon place in England, put together a job placement ad because they were looking for a hairstylist. And so they wrote in the listing, in the job listing, they said, this is, I'm quoting here, this is a busy, friendly, small salon, so only happy, friendly stylists need to apply. Now, before we get anywhere, let's just stay for a second. Does anybody think that's an unreasonable request? They want, listen, this is the type of salon you're applying for. You're applying to work in a busy, friendly, small salon. We don't have a lot of room. We're on top of each other. And God knows, because we're on top of each other and because we're so small and because people can overhear each other, we only are looking for people who are happy and friendly and who have a penchant for smiling. Well, Unfortunately, the job center that was placing the ad through the English government, and I got to tell you, I wish I could say, look at look at England, they're so dumb. But, you know, I would be a pot calling the kettle black, as it were, because it would be just this kind of tomfoolery is just as prevalent here in the good old U.S. as it is in England. I guarantee it. Allison, the owner, thought the job was clear cut, but the representative said, "I'm sorry." I'm quoting what the British representative said with the job center. "I'm sorry, but the word happy is a discriminatory word, and we aren't allowed to use it." As somebody, again, I'm still quoting what this gentleman said, as somebody who is not happy will be discriminated, who will feel discriminated against. So, you know what's so great about that is there is this misnomer that everything can be covered under discrimination. Like you can discriminate for anything and everything. Where here's the truth. Happy is not something that you can discriminate against. It's not, happiness is not a protected class. It's not like being disabled. It's not like being a certain gender or a certain race. You can't discriminate against happy, not for or against. There's no legal premises for it. What I mean, listen, if I had my way, I'll be quite honest with you, I would only hire people. The reason I don't only hire happy people is because not only happy people apply. And so I have to get, from my pool of employees, I take the best employees that come and apply. But trust me when I say they're not all happy. They're not all smiling rainbows and bubblegum. I wish, but they just aren't. But now let's talk about how that affects your customer. You're the customer. Let's put you in the hot seat for a second. You're the customer. You're going to the gas station. Who do you want behind that counter? Do you care whether or not they smile at you? I'm going to say you probably don't. Do you care if they're super friendly or gruff? Probably not. Not if it doesn't affect you at all. Now let's put you in the dentist chair. Now let's put you behind the seat of you're in the dentist chair, and here comes the hygienist. They haven't smiled in 30 years, and you can tell. They hate everybody, and you for sitting there. They're short, they're snappy, they're unfriendly. Now how do you feel? What about when you're at a restaurant and you want to get something extra, but I got to tell you, I have been in this situation where the employer, the employee, whoever is waiting on me is so terrible that I simply just don't want to do business with them. I know people who are like, well, then I'll ask them 10 times. I don't care. I'll make them wait on me hand and foot then. Not me. I go somewhere else. I have no patience for it. I got no stomach for it. I can't stand dealing with negative people, and I don't do it. And that's the problem. Most of people, I think, pretty sure, at least everyone I know, are like me, where we don't want to deal with unhappy people. We don't need you to be over the top friendly constantly at our beck and call. No, but a smile, a friendly hello, making sure that we have everything we need, being quick and prompt with our service, being quick and prompt to solve problems. That is what, my friends, customers want. And so the idea that there is a governing body, and by the way, we should always know, and it's so hard to say this without falling into another rabbit hole, but governing body, there are legit people who work for the government who they don't care who the president is, who the governor is, who the mayor is, who their boss is. They don't care. They're going to do whatever they're going to do, whether you like it or you don't like it. And so it's easy to pin it on the president. It's easy to pin it on the mayor. The city mayor of this town is so terrible that if you go to the city office here in the town I live in, you would think like everybody there has woken up to the news that their cat was just ran over by a car. Everybody is miserable there. But that doesn't mean necessarily that the mayor is a jerk or the mayor is always unhappy. Quite actually, it's the opposite. They seem to be like they won the lottery. They're always smiling. They're always on television too when I see them. So who knows? What do I know? I'm just saying that there are times when we want to say unhappy employee must mean the employer is a piece of crap. Here's the truth. Sometimes there are a lot of unhappy people out there, and they get jobs. And we do our best as employers, knowing that we have customers out there who want who want to work with happy people. We try our best to make them put on a smile. We do our best to get them to be in a good mood. We do our best to try to make them smile and greet everyone with a hello. It just doesn't always work. And if you can't relate, then you're probably the person I'm talking about. Who knows? I'm just going to put it out there. And if you're like, I don't know anybody who's like that, that means it's probably you. No, I don't mean that. I'm sure you are fine and adorable. My point is, when it comes to customer expectations, the best place to start is with you. Think about how you want to be treated when you go to the store, when you go to the dentist, when you go to school, when you go to your office, when you see your receptionist, when you go to a hotel. You know, in China, or maybe it's Japan, to work in front of the bank, to work as a bank teller, you have to spend a considerable amount of time working for the bank in the back office, because the front office staff at a bank are the picture perfect for the bank. And so they only put out their best and their brightest. You don't start your job not knowing anything about banking and start on the front lines of the bank. Are you crazy? However, we do that all the time. We take our brand new employees who know absolutely nothing, and we tell our customers to deal with it. Well, you know what most customers say? I don't want to deal with it. And we'll be right back and talk to you more about what we can all deal with, which is not, of course, this. Oh, I'm having a great time if you can't tell. Great time. Right, India? See, India knows. Gearing up our last quarter hour. We are going to be rolling in to the last quarter hour here. So it'll be good. Last couple of thoughts. Last couple of thoughts. Okay. Soon enough. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ralph Peterson Radio Show. We are in our final short little time here. What would this be called? Final hour? It's not the final hour because it's only 1 hour. Final quarter, a final segment. We'll call it a final segment. We're in the last final segment of the Ralph Peterson Radio Show. And so once again, thank you so much for joining us here. Tell all your friends, 1 o'clock Tuesdays. This is the place to be. And please go and visit ibgr.network. It's going to be worth it. I guarantee this is the radio station that you want to be listening to all the time, day in and day out. Well, when you're not working, of course. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest challenges facing most people is they don't have time. I know from experience that we're just looking at my calendar for the year. It's really already January for me. It's already the middle of January for me. I am so booked solid between now and the first 2 weeks of January that it may as well already be January. I'm skipping over everything. Getting back to it, this is such an important topic, customer expectations, when it comes to operating your business, because there is no business operations without a happy customer, a content customer, a customer who speaks highly of your products and services, a customer who is engaging with you. And it all depends on both what you do, the service or product that you're providing to that customer, and how you are handling there's so many things, how you're handling their issues and how you're forecasting. I remember years ago, I'm a big coffee drinker, and I used to go to this same gas station on my way to work for a cup of coffee. And at the time, I only drank hazelnut coffee with some light cream in it. But I was trying to get away from the light cream because I was a little what we call heavy. And by a little heavy, I mean I was a monster. And I was starting to do Weight Watchers. And Weight Watchers, it's all about points. And the one thing you don't want to do is waste points on something stupid like creamer in coffee. And so I was in the process of making the transition from a creamer-based coffee to a black coffee. And at that time, the owner of the store asked me the worst question ever. He asked me what I thought about designer creamers. Designer creamers. So the designer creamer, which is now the entire rage all over the place, is where instead of brewing different kinds of coffee, you have your hazelnut coffee, your French vanilla coffee, your regular coffee, your Brazilian coffee. Instead of brewing individual flavors, they would have one medium roast flavored coffee, and then they would either offer syrups to put in, flavored syrup, so you can change the flavor of your coffee, or designer creamers, so you could use the creamer as the flavoring agent for your coffee. And so when he said to me, hey, I was just wondering, there's a lot of big movement. This is years ago, 15 years ago. He says a lot of movement on going to these designer creamers. What do you think? And I said, hell no. Who the heck would ever buy that? No chance. I could not have been a worse person for him to ask. He didn't know that, of course. And, thankfully, he didn't listen to me, because it wasn't very long afterward before he started brewing just regular coffee. And he went with the designer creamers. This is before the syrups. Remember, the syrups came after the designer creamers. And I remember him asking me that question, and I felt I got to tell you, I felt good. I felt important. I felt to be stopped and to have somebody say, hey, what do you think about this product we notice you keep coming in and getting hazelnut coffee. We noticed that, most people were getting hazelnut. I think hazelnut's like the number, other than regular coffee. I think for the flavored coffees, hazelnut is definitely like the most chosen. And he said, we're thinking about turning it and going to a creamer. What say you? And I remember being empowered by that and feeling really good about that. And it was like one of my first lessons, although I think he asked the wrong person. He made the right decision. He clearly asked more than just me. But I was probably the only person who said, hell no. Everybody else is probably like, oh, that sounds interesting. Again, I was trying to hate on creamer because I was a fat body and I was trying not to be. So I remember, though, feeling really good. And a lot of people ask me, one of the big questions, I work in long-term care and I'm about to go do another workshop. I'm very excited to be doing it. And one of these questions are about customer expectations. Like, how do you determine what your customers want? How do you know? And it's the easiest answer in the world is maybe standing at the door. And every time your customer's leaving, going, hey, excuse me, I noticed you got that. Would you like this as well? Or you're always buying that, but you're never buying this. Can you tell me why? Or I remember recently, this is pretty brilliant as well. Recently, I was in a grocery store looking for something, and somebody in that department comes up to me and says, can I help you find something? And I was like, yeah, I was looking for, you know what I was looking for? I was looking for cashew milk. And they didn't have cashew milk. They only had the almond milk. But my wife likes cashew milk. So I was like, I'm just trying to find the cashew milk. And he says, we don't carry it. And I was like, oh. He goes, but let me write it down because if I get a few more requests, I'll start carrying it. He said, so I'll just keep asking people. And if there's enough people who do want it, I'll make sure we get some in here for the store. Think about that for a second, folks. This guy is running his own department, and he notices a customer is looking for something. He could have easily left it there. He could have easily just said, sorry, we don't carry it. See you later. Deal with the almond milk or be a real person and drink milk, the regular kind. He didn't. He said, you know what? I'll write it down. So if there's if enough people request it, we can definitely get it for you. That's pretty great. I think that's really smart. I think that really helps drive home the whole idea of how do you learn about your customers' needs? You ask them. You ask them. Don't be afraid to say, how are we doing? Just checking in with you. I want to make sure you're getting everything you are supposed to be getting. The last thing you want to hear is, I'm canceling your contract. We're going with another vendor. We're buying another product. When you say why, they say, well, this is wrong and that is wrong and this is wrong. And you go, wait a minute, I could have fixed all of those. Well, you never asked. Yeah, but you never told me. Listen to me, friends. Your customers are not always going to tell you. It's not their job to tell you. It's your job to ask. It's your job to be inquisitive. It's your job to make sure their level of satisfaction is the highest possible. It's not up to them. It's up to you. It's up to me. It is up to me. And I am talking to myself here. I have customers that I struggle calling, not because they're not good customers, but because I know, I'll be honest with you, because I know I'm not always doing everything right. I know that my team, the only thing I can guarantee right now, what time is it? It is almost 2:00 on a Tuesday. I'll tell you what I can guarantee. I can guarantee there's one, maybe 5, there's probably 10. Who knows? There's someone right now who's working for me who is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Instead, they're doing something completely else. And if I were to call and say, hey, customer, how's everything going how's everything going with my team? Then I go, well, so-and-so is doing such and such, and they're not supposed to. Like, ugh. But it's important for me to know. It's important for me to inquire. It's important for me to solve these problems for them because there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse. If you've not lost a contract, if you haven't lost a customer, then good for you. I've lost customers. I've lost contracts, and it's painful. It's a kick in the gut, and it's so unnecessary because had I been a little bit, and I mean just a little bit more proactive, if I'd have reached out just a little bit more often, I guarantee I could have fixed that problem. But the problem was I didn't know. And why didn't I know? Because I wasn't reaching out, because I wasn't asking. I wasn't engaging with my customers. I wasn't finding out if my services that I was offering were exactly what they were looking for. And not only that, but services change. I got to tell you, I keep alluding to it, but I just started a new program, a new online university called the Standard Health and Rehab. And again, I work in long-term care. So just imagine this. The Standard Health and Rehab is going to be a training site for people who work in long-term care and need to figure out how the best practices on how to manage each department. So imagine being able to go to the Standard Health and Rehab and go, how do you manage the housekeeping department? How do you break down job routines? How do you How do you set up laundry? How do you do inspections? How do you set up calendars and time and work schedules? How do you know it's working? How do you do floor care? How do you strip and wax floors? How often should you buff floors? How often should you clean floors? How often should you disinfect areas, especially with the coronavirus? That is what I've created on the Standard Health and Rehab. And it is all about me asking my customers, because of the coronavirus, we're not able to be in every nursing home like we want to be. How do we do what we do by going to the nursing home without going to the nursing home? How can I offer the same level of service without being able to be there? That question has been plaguing me since February, since we started this whole lockdown, and we have been working diligently, really desperately trying to figure out how to answer that question. We think we've nailed it with the Standard Health and Rehab, but we want it. We see it. We envision it being for everything. How do you set up a nursing job routine? How do you set up a business office job routine for long-term care? How do you set up a dietary job routine in long-term care? That's our vision for what it's going to be like at the Standard Health and Rehab. That kind of engagement, that kind of creativity only came because we were asking our customers, what can we do different? They're like, we can't come in here right now because of the coronavirus. I'm like, I understand. So how can we help you and not get there? How can we stand outside your door and still be of service? How do we do it? How do we do it? How do we do it? And then asking those questions and getting the feedback. And that is how we've determined to come up with this new program. And that is how you stay successful in business, by asking, talking, listening, engaging with your current customers. They are the lifeblood of your business, as they are with mine. Once again, thank you guys so much. This is the fastest hour of my entire week. It flies by so fast and it's super fun. And I really appreciate everybody for coming out and joining me online, listening to the IBGR.network. I will see you all next week, smiling once again. Talk soon. That's it, my friends. All right. Thank you, India, for your help. As I say that to Bill, thank you for your help. Thank everybody for logging on and saying hello. I appreciate you, although you're over there, which is why I'm looking over there, because that's where I see you. Hi.